of Environment. Today, we are here to present to you the findings of our Green Schools Academy. The Green Schools Academy ran in the Greater Accra District of GES from February of 2020 until June of 2021. We are excited today to be able to share with you the lessons learned from that program. As we know, CSOs and other individuals have been working with GES to implement environmental education in a variety of creative ways. The Green Schools Academy really wanted to understand what is the impact of some of that school education and what is the best way to actually be able to support that particular education within the GES curriculum. Today, we are proud to share with you our findings. Just a quick overview of the agenda. As mentioned, I'm Cordy Aziz. I'm the founder and executive director of Environment 360. I'll start off by giving a brief overview. From there, we'll have Maria Tomai from the University of Maastricht to then present the baseline data and the outcomes and the impact of the study. From there, we will have an interactive panel discussion with our guest, Jokum Saram Hosu, who helps develop the JHS waste curriculum, Christina Ago, who is a teacher that participated within the Green Schools Academy, and then Catherine Adoji Dogbe from UNDP Waste Recovery and Innovation Challenge. It should be noted that this study was financed through the Waste Recovery Innovation Challenge, particularly under the category of Advocacy and Awareness. So I'll just start by giving a brief overview of the program. Okay. I think everyone should be able to see my screen. As mentioned, the Green Schools Academy is a partnership between Environment 360, Friends in Need, and the Ghana Education Service, the Accra District. This program was proudly funded through Dow, Vivo Energy Ghana, but the majority of the funds were taken from the UNDP Waste Recovery and Innovation Platform under the Advocacy and Awareness Challenge. The Green Academy was, so just a little bit about E360. We started working in schools in 2014, mainly creating recycling programs. One of our major partners for this was actually Vivo Energy, and we created the cycling program with them, which went on to win an international award via the Shell company. One thing we realized is that although schools were participating in programs, they actually wanted to have more incentives. So in 2018, we introduced the Ghana Recycling Incentive for Public Schools, also known as GRIPS. We still noticed that there was still some disconnect with students. We also realized that as the program expanded, it was becoming very costly for the organization. And as a result, it really wasn't sustainable. For those NGOs and other individuals that run programs within the Ghana Education Service, we know that between volunteers, transport, incentives, and other things, programs can get quite expensive. We also realized at this point in time, there was one key factor in success for our schools that did really well, and this was the teachers. This was the formation of the Green Schools Academy in 2019 under the Waste Recovery and Innovation Challenge. So just a little bit about the partners. Environment 360 for this project acted as the implementing partner. We specialize in creating community education campaigns and collection systems that support the work of informal sector workers, but also really spur the green economy and circular thinking. We also had Friend in Need Trust India. This is an NGO that basically functions as a teaching and training and action research laboratory. It's ran by Professor Shyama Ramani, who actually was the originator of the Green Schools Academy the Green Schools Academy curriculum that we were able to implement here locally. Then finally, we have the Ghana Education Service, who acted as a coordinating body for this particular program. As we know, they are located under the Ministry of Education, and they're responsible for implementing government policies to ensure Ghanaians of school-going age receive a formal education. It should be noted that we really want to thank Ms. Filipina Tufor, who was really instrumental in helping us identify teachers, go through applications, organize teachers for trainings, and particularly in the collection of data with the tight school schedule. So the Green Schools Academy essentially had was in line with 6 different SDGs. 1, clean water and sanitation, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, and life on land. This program sought to create a robust program that was able to not only have impact within schools, but also outside of the schools as well in communities. So the Green Academy is essentially a unique program that allowed Ghana Education Service SHEP coordinators, which are the School Health Environmental Program coordinators, to be trained to be able to deliver a fun and interactive curriculum that was really based on the 3 R's. So the idea is that instead of having to send volunteers into schools, why not empower teachers to really deliver fun and interactive environmental education to really help spur schools becoming the motor of the circular economy. So some of the key objectives of this project is we wanted to empower 25 teachers through Greater Accra, support children to become environmental change agents. Once again, this program, though it was geared for the school campus, the expectation is that they would take that education out to other community members. And then we also wanted to gauge the impact of environmental education delivered by third parties in GES. Once again, there are a lot of different initiatives going on, but we wanted to figure out how successful are these particular initiatives under the current circumstances that GES operates. In the end, we had 23 teachers selected and trained. We reached over 1,000 students, and we worked within 6 communities for this project. Our approach was really very much of a co-design approach. So to prepare the curriculum, we actually used Friends in Need India, Environment 360, and GES. Friends in Need India actually presented the curriculum. It was then further localized by GES, basically going through and tailoring what parts they thought were relevant, what they thought wasn't relevant, and what we needed to be able to add into a curriculum to make it interesting on a Ghana level. Then Environment 360 and GES embarked upon the first training of the SHEP coordinators. One thing that was really interesting about this training is that it wasn't carried out by Environment 360. It was actually carried out by administrative officers at Ghana Education Service. The reason we did this is we wanted to make sure that we were able to embed that training into them so that they would be able to continue to carry on that training without the assistance of a third party. From there, what the expectation was is that teachers would be able to train students on the curriculum that we had created. For this particular curriculum, we actually looked at 4 different key modules. In the first module, it was an introduction to the classification of waste as well as identification of waste streams. We know that this is the very basic building block when we talk about waste segregation and circularity. Not only do you have to be able to understand the different types of waste, but you really need to be able to understand what are the fractions that go into those different types of waste. We also felt it was important to give an introduction to landfills, as well as have a brief discussion on waste pickers in the informal sector in the second module. What this allowed students to do is to be able to understand what happens to waste when you don't handle it in a sustainable manner, and what is that impact? The next thing that we did for ourselves is that we were able to identify differences in a linear and circular economy and really give local examples. Sometimes when we talk about circular economy, we fail to realize and sort of bring it home so that people understand what exactly is being done locally. We were able to use examples of local artists such as Serge Cloté-Akwete, as well as other green initiatives that are currently going on so that students could really understand that circularity was in fact happening around them. And then from there, we had interactive sessions to support previous lessons. So we realized we had done a lot of talking. In the last module, it was all about hands-on sessions, how students could learn how to reuse different types of materials, creating art projects, songs, games, things that essentially made what they had learned and brought it to life. So one of the unique things about this particular academy that you don't see in other programs is that teachers were actually the center. Typically, when you look at most of the programs run, NGOs actually act as the center. So meaning they are the contact, they are the ones executing the activities. For this, it was actually teachers. Once again, we also had a variety of hands-on activities so that it moved from talking into actually doing. This particular program, we also saw a lot of community involvement, or it was planned for community involvement. As you can tell from the dates, COVID was very active during this. So some of the activities that we planned, we were unable to do, but we did find creative ways to try to execute them and continue to bring that knowledge outside of the classroom. This was also localized. A lot of times, individuals don't necessarily localize the school education programs that they are bringing into the system. So we often model programs that have worked very well in other parts of the world or even other parts of Africa, but this was specifically created in the context for Ghana. And it was developed with GES, which was really critical. It's not something that was developed independently. It was something that administrators had feedback in, and that they also got an opportunity to better help us better understand what were the needs of the students. So in the future, there are a few things that we would recommend. Maria will get more into the baseline, which I think will sort of close some of the gaps on these recommendations. But one of the challenges we realized is that really there just wasn't enough time. As we know, COVID had an impact on the school schedule. There wasn't a lot of free time. You also couldn't gather in large groups. And this made it really impossible to execute a very successful intensive program. As I'm sure Joe will talk with us about, recently GES has implemented a waste stream curriculum at the JHS area. We would strongly suggest that if you have games or you have curriculums, to better understand what's within that curriculum and see how your activities integrate into it so that it can actually be delivered through the GES system, and maybe your tools are just a supplemental act. The next thing is explore partnering with landmark programs such as Teacher of the Year. One of the things that we noticed on this program is that we did provide some level of incentives for both teachers as well as students, which Maria will talk about a little bit more as well. We learned that basically providing incentives doesn't necessarily push teachers to the next edge. But we think that if we can partner with other landmark programs and then build this into it, it might be more exciting for teachers. Another thing we like to maybe look at doing, or others should look at doing, is partner with teacher organizations to identify and recruit teachers with genuine interest. Throughout the program, we had great participation from the teachers, but undoubtedly there were great teachers like Christina that were really dedicated to delivering the program. They were dedicated to ensuring the students got those lessons, and it was very obvious that they not only enjoyed it, but the students enjoyed it as well. We think that in the future, recruitment could not only take place through GES, but could also take place through teacher organizations and unions that allow to have a broader scope of individuals that perhaps also have interest in helping support the circular economy. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat box. We'll be answering questions as we go along, as well as during the panel. So please feel free just to type. Due to time, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Maria, so that Maria can then present more on the baseline data, as well as some of the additional findings that we had.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see my screen well now. Please let hands. So very much for attending this meeting today. Thank you for your contributions and for your interest in the program. My name is Tomai, PhD fellow at the United Nations University Mary in the Netherlands, and today I will present some preliminary findings and results for our impact evaluation we conduct for the program. Those who have heard about my university before, it's the United Nations University. It is a research and training institute of the United Nations University, which is based in Maastricht, Netherlands. And focus areas are around sustainable development, circular economy transitions, innovation and entrepreneurship, as well as education for sustainable development, among other topics. So let's start by answering the question why it's important to really put effort in order to evaluate the programs as the Green Schools Academy program. Well, as coordination from the very beginning conceptualization of the program, we had a vision, we had a goal to achieve specific outcomes. These are mostly around environmental knowledge that we want the students to acquire. We want to help them acquire more environmental knowledge around different issues, but to increase their engagement and awareness around issues on sustainable waste management or circular economy. We also want to have students and staff engaged more in segregation activities in the school, so that they can engage in more recycling activities or hopefully also composting activities. We also aim to have students receiving more support and more motivation from the teachers and the school staff on activities of management, but also we hope that students at the end of the program will start sharing this experience, start sharing this knowledge that they gain throughout the program with their families, with their friends, with the broader community.
Please, Maria, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you can, yes, your network seems to be a little bit low, so your sound quality isn't the best.
Okay. Let me try.
So maybe if you just cut your video. Okay, thank you.
Is it better now?
Yes, please, it is.
Okay, great. So the key outcomes of the program, as I said, are mostly focused around environmental knowledge, awareness, engagement, and recycling activities. The long-term impact of the program, what we aim to achieve in the long run, is mostly around increased waste segregation and composting activities in the school, increased awareness and motivation, not only around waste management, but in general around WASH activities. And that will also result to a decreased health-related issues that might be caused through pollution, environmental pollution, or improper waste management, as well as improved attitudes and routines towards WASH activities. This is the long-term impact of the program that we aim to achieve. So what is the timeline that we followed? So as Cord already explained, we started with the program development and training that took place from January to December 2020. Then in February 2021, we had the first wave of data collection before the program started. Here we had all 23 participating schools from where we collected the data, but also another set of 23 schools that did not participate in the program, but have similar characteristics with the participating schools. This we call the control group. Then the program started around the middle of February 2021 and took place until June 2021. At the end of the program, we collected the second wave of data that was late June. But here the data collection took place only from the GHS schools, because as we will also discuss later, the implementation on primary schools was not as expected. Then in June, we also had some final meetings with teachers and GES coordinators to evaluate the program. And we expect to have the third and final wave of data collection in November, where it's going to give us also a more long-term impact on the program after its end. With regards to the data that we collected about the students, we had, as I said, or we will have 3 rounds of surveys. The data we asked them to fill in is mostly, of course, apart from the personal information, some knowledge questions around what is circular economy, what is waste management, what is composting, and things like that. Some questions around their attitude, behavior, satisfaction with local facilities, motivation, and so on, and some socio-demographic characteristics. With the teachers, we have conducted several focus group discussions, but mostly I will focus today on the evaluation discussions we had at the end, and some in-person interviews with some of the teachers. So I will now give you a very brief outline and summary of some preliminary findings that we have. Please note, this is not the final results. First of all, because we're still about to collect the third wave of data, but also because not all the data from the GHS schools have been processed yet from the control group. So please accept this as some initial findings that I would like to discuss with you today. I need to say that from the very first day, we were really impressed by the engagement and the activities and all the outcomes that the students brought into the program. It was really impressive to see that most of the students and the teachers really went beyond the program and really created many more things and were much more creative than we thought in the beginning. So it was really nice to see all these hands-on constructions, all these crafts, all these different materials and products they created out of different streams of waste like paper or plastic, and how all these activities and interactive activities really help them to engage even more and give them a very nice feeling that they are part of this program. One of the most important things for us was knowledge. So what we noticed that before the program and at the end of the program, we noticed a big increase in the knowledge level of the students. Again, when I say knowledge, I mean the basic understanding of the key concepts, meanings, also things around being able to understand there is a connection with health issues or with environmental issues with waste management. So before and after, we saw that there is about 10% increase in the knowledge level of the students after the program. With regards to the behavior, here the results are more neutral. So we did not notice any big difference in the behavior of girls, but we noticed some small difference in the behavior of the boys students who improved at the end of the program. When we ask students if they start talking with their family or friends around issues that they learned in the program, most of them said that yes, now they started talking more around these issues with them. And also quite a big percentage said that they were always talking about these issues with their family. When we asked the students how did they like the program and if it's something that they would like to take part again in the future, the biggest percentage was very satisfied with the program. They expressed their interest and enthusiasm. And that was also confirmed through the testimonials that they gave us at the end, which was an open question for them to really write and express any opinion they wanted on the program. So I have to say that more than 85 to 90% of the students really expressed a very positive attitude. They liked that the program kept them so engaged throughout the whole duration, that they had the chance to make different activities, and also that it gave them so many ideas on things and value that they can create out of waste, things that they wish to take back home if possible. Interestingly, when it comes to the teachers, they also have a very similar opinion, and they also believe that the Green Schools Academy offer an overall boost and more engagement into the educational program. They believe that through this program, first of all, they tried and they managed to increase the knowledge basis of their students around waste management. And so to have them gain a greater understanding around what is waste and how it is managed. That was supported by the activities, the storytelling activities, the hands-on constructions, which really helped the students be more emotionally involved and engaged throughout the whole duration. And that will lead to behavioral change. After that, the teacher says that it made their work easier because students were motivated by themselves. They didn't need to push them in order to force them to participate in the program. They were sometimes even reminding them that, okay, now it's time to talk about the Green Schools Academy. So that was a nice way for them to really talk about these issues without feeling any pressure. And all this, of course, improved the overall quality of education for that the teachers have to deliver. Finally, some lessons learned and ways forward. First of all, we realized that, as Corti said, teachers' engagement is crucial and for the success of the program. Most of the times, even monetary or other incentives are not able to substitute the teacher's engagement, which is a very important component for the success of the program. So we saw that teachers were truly interested and really contributing to the program, where these teachers have brought the greatest impact and their students enjoyed the most. Also, there's a need for continuous training over a long time period that goes both for the teachers and the students. Of course, teachers were engaged in some workshops and trainings with us, but this is a continuous process that we need to really follow up with them on a more long-term base. And it's not something that we can just do once or twice and it's over. Same goes for students. Of course, it is hard to believe that in a 4-month program, we can achieve a big behavioral change. That is why also results were not so strong. I believe that a program like that can really increase their knowledge, but in order to achieve behavioral change requires a more long-term process that will be really part of their education for a longer time. Third, as Cordy also said, we need to really think how we can embed in activities and programs like that in the existing curriculum and existing programs of the schools, because many teachers face time limitations and other difficulties in the structure and time management of their program in their schools. Also, we need to better adapt the content and the level of the material to the different school and class levels. As I mentioned before, primary students had some more difficulties in understanding and following with some materials, and also teachers were not prepared enough well to really help them with that. And finally, some more resources. And here by resources, I don't mean any very expensive infrastructure or anything like that. Just small things like some more teaching materials, some more books, even a t-shirt or a pencil that can really help the students feel that they are part of a bigger community, that they're part of a program that can also help the teachers deliver their material more easily by having some more, let's say, copies or pictures or cards to play around. That is something that was also reported by the students in their testimonials, and I believe it's also important. Before I thank you, I also want to thank 3 main people who really contributed a lot. Some of them are not here with us today. So Professor Syama Ramani from Friend in India, who was really the mind behind the conceptualization and the development of all these materials, who haven't been adapted to the local context by Cordy. So Professor Ramani from Friend in India Trust was really, has really developed all this material for us. Ms. Filipina Tufur from GES, who was a great help, not only for the implementation, but also for the data collection, and really managed all 23 teachers exceptionally well. And also, of course, Cordy, who organized us all and really supported the implementation, the monitoring, and all the steps of the program. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much, Maria, for really sharing that with us and the baseline and outcomes. As you see, this was a learning lesson for all of us, and I think that we really, the point of this particular seminar is also just to continue to learn as well and really get feedback from individuals that perhaps have a different perception. So today we actually have 3 really strong panelists with us. So first we want to recognize Catherine Odeji Dogbe. or Dogbe, I'm sorry, from UNDP. She's a program officer there, and she is representing the Waste Recovery Innovation Challenge platform today. We also have Mr. Yoakum Seram Honsu, Honu, who is a curriculum expert with the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. He has been instrumental in helping formulate the JHS waste curriculum, which we'll talk about during the panel. And last but not least, we have one of our most important individuals, Christina Ago, who was actually a teacher that participated in the Green Schools Academy program. If I can ask that all panelists please turn on their cameras now so that people can see your face and associate. So first, Catherine, we're going to actually give you the first question before we start into it, because this program was actually financed by the UNDP Waste Recovery and Innovation Challenge under the category of awareness and advocacy. Why is it that UNDP, through their Waste Recovery Innovation Challenge, sought to fund this particular program? And what were the key outcomes? Have you learned anything from what Maria has shared?
Okay, so let me just start by giving like a brief overview of the Waste Recovery Innovation Challenge. So the Waste Recovery Innovation Challenge was launched to provide like technical and financial support to businesses, research, and also advocacy projects that promote and test like innovative solutions for waste recovery and reduction. It's an annual activity organized by UNDP, and for the first one, we received funding from the Netherlands Embassy, and we had on board 10 organizations, including Environment 360. The second funding was from the Coca-Cola Foundation, where we actually brought on board 4 companies. So like I mentioned earlier, we support like private sector businesses, research, advocacy, and awareness. And the Environment 360 project, the Green Schools Academic project, falls under the advocacy and awareness creation category. UNDP actually selected the Green Schools Academic project as one of the winners for its first Waste Recovery and Innovation Challenge because of the focus of the project, the focus on the youth and the focus on children. UNDP is actually committed to engaging the children and youth in addressing like environmental challenges that we face as a country. And the Green Schools Academic project was in line with our commitment. So the project had a goal of like educating school children on waste segregation. And they intended to do this by like training teachers to implement education on waste segregation in the schools. And I think what was most interesting for us was the methodology that was going to be used, the hands-on approach in engaging children. And we found it very useful and practical because it's something that we promote and encourage. And they actually mentioned that we're going to use things like community participation, the involvement of songs and activities. So these were like some of the reasons that made us select them. And we believe strongly that the project that we're going to do was actually going to support to increase environmental awareness and knowledge in the schools. So these were some of the reasons for which we selected Environment 360 for the first cohort. Thank you.
So thank you very much for that. Christina just said she's having some network issues, so I'm sure she'll join us back in just a second. And then we will get her experience firsthand as a teacher that participated. But Joe, we know that during the time of us doing the Green Schools Academy, there was also a waste curriculum introduced by JHS. So maybe you can take time to maybe go over that particular waste curriculum that has been introduced. And then maybe afterwards, if Christina is not back yet, we can maybe just also discuss better how can programs like the Green Schools Academy be able to fit within that particular thing. So I'm sure we'll share your presentation now, and then you can start letting us know a little bit more about that particular curriculum that you developed for JHS.
All right. Yeah, so Claudia and Mariam, thank you so much. And that has been a very, very great presentation. You've all done so well. Yes. Please, can you see can you share it? Hello? Yeah. Yeah, so there is a conscious effort on the part of National Council for Curriculum and Assessment to closely integrate into our school system a standard-based curriculum. And so with this presentation, we will just briefly look at the rationale, the organization and structure of the curriculum, and then pay some attention to the strand 5, which zero on the waste management, which we'll be looking at, and also the scope and sequence of the learning areas that is covered within JHS 1, JHS 2, and 3. Please, can you scroll on? Yeah, so this curriculum has certain features that we all want to appreciate in our graduate, our students. We expect that our learners will have the 21st century skills, and then the work ethos and applicable skills. We also expect that in this new curriculum that we have, we are able to integrate project work, community service, and engagement, nurture values such as respect and diversity, equity, commitment, and also focus on assessing knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values with special emphasis on what learners know and are able to do. Yes, can you move on to the next slide? So we have certain competencies that we expect learners to have at every grade level. So for example, in JHS 1, they have a broad range of things they are supposed to learn before they move to JHS 2. These broad areas are subdivided, which we call substrand. These substrands are also subdivided into what we call content standard. And these content standards are the expected learning behaviors that learners are supposed to have before they move to the next grade. These learning or content standards are further broken down into measurable indicators, so that by the time a learner moves from JHS 1 to JHS 2, we are perfectly sure that the content standard, which defines what the learner is ought to know at JHS 1 and be able to do or demonstrate at JHS 1 before moving to JHS 2, is completed. That is what we call the content standard and then the indicators. These indicators are also, we also give certain exemplars to the facilitators or the teachers in the classroom, so they are able to, and these exemplars are not exhaustive in the curriculum, but these are hand-holding exemplars that guides teachers or facilitators in shaping the knowledge and the skills that learners are supposed to have at all the grade levels. Can we move to the next slide? Yes, so humans and the environment is the strand 5 that talks specifically about waste management. So the humans and the environment has 6 substrands, but for the purpose of this presentation, we will only focus on waste management. But the learner is supposed to have knowledge and skills in human health, science and industry, climate change and green economy, understanding the environment, source as component of the environment. So that is what forms or goes into humans and the environment. But we'll just focus on waste management. Can we move to the next slide? Yes, so let's move on to that. Yes, so we expect that our learners at JHS 1 exhibit knowledge and skills of scientific basis for management practices of types of waste in the environment. By so doing, so this is the content standard that we have for JHS 1 students. And this content standard is broken down, like I earlier on said, into indicators. So how can we achieve standard? We can achieve the content standard by applying information from research on good management practices of waste to make the environment clean. And like I said, the exemplars are just the leading knowledge that help the facilitator or the teacher to guide the learners to be able to achieve this indicator we've just mentioned. Let's move to the next one. Yeah, so, and this curriculum has increasingly difficulty level. So in JHS 1, they were able to look at how to apply, how to research. Now the B8 that we have there is JHS 8. So after you have acquired the knowledge, we want the learners to be able to demonstrate knowledge of waste management system and apply it in an environment. So the indicator is also saying that explain sustainable waste management practices. So these are, as you demonstrate, you are explaining the step by step by which you are able to keep the environment clean. Can we move to the next one? Yes, so this takes us to the last content standard, which is JHS 3B9. Learners are also supposed to demonstrate an understanding of the scientific ways of waste management. So you can see how sequentially the knowledge is built up. At one level, you are researching to know the best practices. At another level, you are demonstrating it. And you are not just demonstrating it, you are also explaining and doing the action So when you look at the indicator B9, it says investigate the scientific way methods used in waste management. So the exemplars are, like I said, it says identify scientific methods such as recycling, composting use in waste management, and so forth and so on. So this is the new standard-based curriculum that we are introducing into the system, hopefully according to the minister next academic year. We have carefully integrated these waste management skills and knowledge right from the primary level all the way to primary 1 to primary 6. These are carefully and grade level appropriate knowledge embedded in their curriculum that is currently being used. As for the JHS, we are just about introducing this. I intentionally decided to do a presentation on this so that the CSOs and the NGOs who may be listening to me can also fashion their plans to see how they can help in the total development of waste management systems in Ghana. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that particular presentation. We really enjoyed it. I see that Christina is back with us. Christina, if you can, maybe turn on your camera. I know that we've talked about the program from our perspective as the implementer, Maria's perspective as the researcher, and then we've even learned a little bit about what's in the JHS. But now, Christina, you were actually on ground and helped implement this particular program within GES. Can you please just maybe tell us your experiences? What were some of the successes from your point of view, as well as some of the challenges that you saw? Christina, if you can please take yourself off mute.
Can you please hear me?
Yes, we can. If you can go ahead and let us know about what you saw, some of the successes of the Green Schools Academy program, and some of the major challenges that you also faced.
Okay, to me, the Green School Academy.
So, Madam Abel, please, it seems your network isn't strong. Can you maybe cut your video and then we just listen to your voice?
Okay. Hello, can you please hear me?
Yes, that's a lot better. If you can go ahead and proceed.
Okay. So to me, the Green School Academy is an eye-opener to the effects of improper waste disposal. For example, as a result of the Green School Academy, we have taught the pupils the effects of improper waste in the community, improper waste disposal in the community. And now they have learned how to segregate effectively. Though we used to do segregation before the program, but the program have made it more effective now. Now, if I will talk about some of the challenges, one of the challenges is that because the program is activity-based, if care is not taken, you run into the next period, and then you have issues with the subject teachers involved because the program is meant for only one class. But if the program can be extended to all the classes and not only just one class, then I think this challenge will be solved, as explained by the curriculum planner. Now, another challenge is that some pupils also find it difficult or to follow the waste segregation regulation, and then they end up mixing one with other. Example, mixing plastic with papers. So we are still doing the education in order to keep them on track.
So thank you very much for that input.
Thank
As
you.
a teacher that actually participated, do you think that you personally gained knowledge as well? Or what do you think about this format of environmental education in schools versus the format where CSOs and other entities send in third parties to do the education? Which one do you think, in your eyes, has proven more effective?
Oh, I think the Green Teacher Academy has achieved great success because it has helped most of the students to identify their talent through the reuse or recycle of the waste materials.
And do you prefer when?
And even we have some of the things that we have. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead and continue.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I said we even have some of the things we have made here. As a BDT teacher or BDT teachers, we teach the children how to make artifacts. Initially, we asked them to buy gray bags to use them, but thanks to Green Teach Academy, now we use the waste materials. They go to the tailoring shop to pick the pieces of the materials and they use to create new things. Some of the example of the things they have made is here, but because my network is pictures of them later and then send it to you. And in my school personally, we have been able to make landfill, which have also reduced the money we use or the money we use to spend in waste disposal. Initially, every week, we spend huge amounts of money on waste disposal. But as a result of this Green Teach Academy, we are able to segregate all the waste. At the end, we dispose just a little, and the other, we use it at the landfill. This has also helped the school. And we are even decorating our compound by planting flowers around, following the steps in the Green Teach Academy.
Thank you very much for that feedback, Madam Ago. Please, Joe, one of the things that you were mentioning is that you felt it was important that CSOs and other entities that wanted to work within GES follow along with the curriculum. If there's someone such as Environment 360 or another organization that has created some format or curriculum that has been implemented, what is the best way to work with your organization or GES to actually maybe create support activities for the curriculum that's being created?
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you so much, Odia. As it stands now, the policy that governs the use of educational materials are so clear that any educational material that has to be used in our schools, first and foremost, must be sent to National Council for Curriculum and Assessment to be assessed and see whether it is in tandem with the standard-based curriculum, whether the ideals are very much enshrined in that curriculum. When that is done, then you can now be allowed to go ahead and use it in our schools. So that is the policy direction now.
Okay, and just curious, is this process free? Is there a cost for organizations that are interested? Can you just maybe give us a little bit more insight into that process, timetable, and other things?
Well, the process is not free, to be honest. There is a whole instructional and material directorate at National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. So they will be able to tell you the cost that is involved, and the cost is based on the document you have. So they will look at it and then assess it and be able to tell you how much it will cost for independent assessors to go through the material and see whether it is fit for purpose. I may get you the details maybe later.
Okay. Thank you very much for that feedback, Joe. Catherine, just to throw it back to you on this, as the funder of this particular program, what are some of your feedback and thoughts on some of the outcomes and the impacts, and even hearing a testimonial from the teacher today and seeing the testimonial from the students? What is your particular feedback, and is this work that you think UNDP will continue to support, or what do you see next steps as UNDP for continuing to support this type of format for advocacy and awareness?
I think this the method that has been used is great. I like the idea of teachers being at the center. I think it's very useful, especially because they have like direct contact with the students. The students are already used to them, so it's not like we are bringing an external person in to come and assist them. So for example, the examples that Christina gave, where they are able to interact with the students, I'm sure that even saves you some time, the time that maybe an external person would now come and familiarize him or herself with them and all that. That's time saved. I think it's a useful method that was used, and I would encourage it for future projects. And yes, of course, if others come up with similar ideas or even could add on to it, I think it will be very useful. Thank you. My comments on this.
Great. Thank you very much for that as well. So Maria, I know that you once again really played an instrumental part, particularly in the data collection. We know that Environment 360 partnered, chose our partner strategically for this partner so that we could actually have independent data on what was actually happening. I think one of the things that we sort of briefly touched on is maybe we touch a little bit, how did we, or how did your team keep in contact with the teachers to really better understand, engage what was happening in the classroom to ensure that the data that you got was actually quality data?
Thank you, Porty. So as I mentioned also in my presentation, we had different modes of data collection and methods. Of course, when it comes to the students, we follow the more traditional way of surveys that we had the 3 waves. But with the teachers, we have a more continuous process of communication, which started from day 1. So Christina can also confirm with that, but we have almost a weekly communication with the teachers via WhatsApp or via direct calls, where we try to see how they're progressing on the curriculum and the program, what are the challenges they face, what is the extra support that we can give to them, and also what Environment 360 and ZES can do for them, how are the students perceiving the program, and most importantly, if there's any lack of understanding from their perspective, if there's anything unclear that we can help them to implement. That was a continuous source source of information for us, because we also had the chance to see how the students are reacting to the different parts of the program, and how the beginning, the very first module was so crucial for them, because it really gave them the initial engagement and interest into the program, and how they all really enjoyed that. So that, of course, at the end concluded with focus group discussions we had with teachers, and the interviews that we have with some of them, to really understand how the program can also benefit their own skills and work in the schools, and how they can also give more back to the students through this program. So as you said, how not only students can really benefit out of this, but also how the teachers can improve their skills and gain more. So we have these different modes of communication that I think worked really well.
Great, thank you so much for that, Maria. So we're running out of time. I'm just gonna have one last question to Madam Ago. And that is, we know that the Green Schools Academy has technically come to an end. However, we provided a variety of educational resources to help support green education in your classroom. Do you think you're going to use those resources for the next school year or for the next term? Do you think you'll continue with this green education within your classroom?
Yes, of course. We are going to continue the program because this program has positive impact on the pupils. In fact, it has improved on attendance because it is activity-based. Most of the children like it, especially Fridays. Most of them don't like coming to school, but because of the program, all of them come to school. So this program has really helped us. And thanks to the Environment 360, we have already taught the children how to wash hands properly before the COVID. And this has really helped us to maintain hygiene, good personal hygiene in the school during this COVID time. So this program is supposed to continue, and it will really help the future generations.
Great, thank you so much for those impactful last words, Madam Ago. We really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Cordy Aziz. I'm the founder and executive director of Environment 360. I'd like to take the time to thank all of our guests for taking time out of their schedule to be here with us today, to share their lessons learned and their input on the Green Schools Academy, which was a program implemented by Environment 360 and funded by the UNDP Waste Recovery Innovation Challenge, particularly under their Advocacy and Awareness program. We also want to continue to thank all of the partners that made this happen. We want to thank Professor Shyama Ramani, who Maria said actually created the Green Schools Academy curriculum that we were able to adapt locally. We definitely have to thank Mrs. Filipina Tufor again at the Accra District Office of GES. Without her, I don't think that we would have been able to see this particular program through. Definitely thank Maria and her team for keeping up with data. She did quite a lot of surveys and focus groups, and we'll be looking forward to getting the final data on this program in November, which we'll also share with stakeholders as well. And I'd like to thank everyone at the Environment 360 team that also made this happen and continued to monitor and support the teachers as well. This program will be available on our Facebook as well as our YouTube. At the conclusion, we ask that you please share it with stakeholders. If you have questions, please feel free to type them now. If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and close. Once again, we thank all of you for being with us today to hear and share in our lessons learned on the Green Schools Academy, which is making schools the motor of the circular economy. And we thank all of our panelists once again. Signing off, I'm Cordy Aziz, the founder and executive director of Environment 360, and we thank you all for your time today.
Thank you.